Hello, Eugenio. How are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Oh, very good. I missed you in Newport Beach the other day. I was hoping to
Oh,
get down there.
oh, really? You were there?
I wanted to be there. I kind of injured my foot, and so I wasn't walking.
Oh, okay. I hope you're better.
Yeah, I hope so too. Let me get so yeah. Let's talk about Radical here. How did you come to be part of the project? Was it something you found out? Something that they came to you for?
Well, I don't know if you know the story. This is a true story based on a true story. And the story is that in 2012, a magazine came out in Mexico. Well, I remember that I was in Mexico watching the news, and it was all over the news that a girl from Matamoros, Mexico, a small town in Mexico, and from a public school, was considered the next Steve Jobs by the Wire magazine in the US. And it was shocking to me. I wanted to know more about her. How come this little girl from a small public school was considered in the US a genius? So that's why when years later, the journalist that wrote that article came to us and offered us the rights to make a movie about that story. And I immediately connected, and I was like, of course, I remember that story. And then I learned that there was a teacher behind Paloma, the girl. And I said, I need to tell the story. And this is the kind of stories that I would like to portray, because it has a lot of heart. And I love, first of all, I love true stories, and this one especially that talks about the good Mexicans. I was really interested in telling that story to the world.
Yeah, yeah. No, I love that about the movie. It's you say good Mexicans, but people who care, people who still care. That's ultimately it.
Yeah,
Uh,
look, it's just that I promised myself that if I was able to produce in the US one day, then now I'm doing it, thank God, I would try to portray and the other part of Mexico. So in this movie, it's very real, it's very tough, raw. You can see all the violence that we have down there, that it's obvious. But on the other hand, you can see that there are other people like Sergio that are good people. And I think we need to put the light, the spot on the good ones, not just in the bad ones.
yeah, I mean, I think part of the story is the fact that the idea that education can lift people out of tough situations, and what I walked away from the movie was that um, is this idea that if you can teach children to think critically, that they can almost master any subject. I mean, it's weird, but it's a revolutionary idea, but it really isn't. I mean, was it as revolutionary to you as it was to me?
Absolutely. I mean, when I was talking to the real teacher, to the real Sergio, he was telling me that basically he was never sure he was doing the right thing. I mean, he was always improvising. It was not that I have a method. No, he was always like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing or not? But that he felt that the kids were bored all the time. They were not interested in school or the subjects at school they were learning at school, because they were they had to memorize a lot of stuff that they were not even understanding, and that he felt it was more important to teach them to think instead of to teach them to memorize. And that was a huge difference. That, and also that the fact that he was always like putting a lot of questions so that he could awake their curiosity, and because he thinks that curiosity is the biggest motor for kids to learn. So it was a very interesting technique.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Teaching kids to enjoy learning and look forward to learning. That's the key.
Yeah,
That's how you make smart kids.
curiosity and humor.
Hmm. Absolutely. I mean, it all just engages. Humor definitely engages people.
Yeah.
What so? I know you're not necessarily doing an impression of Sergio, but what was the process for you in developing your portrayal of this real life person?
Well, it was intimidating and scary to portray someone who's still alive and that you know is going to watch the movie. But but exactly as you said, we decided not to do an impression of Sergio because we felt it could be disrespectful to try to imitate him, and it was not the idea. He was not a he's not a well-known person, so anyone can compare it, and we wanted to capture his soul, his energy. So I had a lot of meetings with him in order to be accurate in the process of all the I was always asking him about all these games that he was always like inventing and coming up with the kids, all the interactions with kids. So everything you see on screen is real. It's let's say supervised by him. Even though I was not uh, impersonating him, but all the rest is 100% true. That's the way he connected with kids. That's the kind of exercises he did to make them curious and make them learn in a better way.
Yeah, I think one thing I picked up was there seemed to be a lot of improvisation on his part. And you as a comedian, did you connect with that? Was the improvisation aspect of it something that that really drew you to the role?
Yeah, he was again. He was telling me that he was improvising all the time because he was not sure about what he was doing. He confessed that he there was a point where he was like probably ruining this kid's lives or at least the year. Probably they're gonna fire me. Probably I'm gonna make them lose a year. But it was more the hunger he had for a change. He saw that they were quitting. All the kids were quitting at the middle of the year, or they were not interested in the school anymore. And he felt that it should be a change. So he was more into that than into the fear of failure.
Mhm. So you're mostly known for comedic roles, uh, but with Radical and with Coda, you went dramatic. What do you think it is about comedians that lend them to do dramatic roles versus maybe vice versa, the other way around?
It's because, and this is true, it's way harder to make people laugh than to make people cry. Way harder. But for some reason, comedy is not well respected. You will never see a comedy. It doesn't matter if it's a great comedy. You will never see a comedy at the the big award shows, at the Oscars or the whatever, SAG, whatever.
Mm.
And you feel that no matter what you do, it's just comedy. And then when you happened to me last year when I was doing Coda, for the first time I got invited to a lot of festivals and parties and places that I never thought I was going to be invited. And I felt more respected. I felt more important. Then I was like, oh, okay, now I get it. Now I know why Tom Hanks and Robin Williams and Jim Carrey, all of them are switching to drama, and they sometimes never go back. But it's because of that. You feel disrespected, um, and uh, and sometimes you feel it feels good when you feel more recognition on the drama side. But in my case, I'm not quitting comedy. I'm just like expanding my horizon.
Yeah. Sometimes I think like I do comedy on the side, but I feel like maybe I feel like comedians are much more empathetic, or at least empathy is a tool in comedy that is necessary. The other is listening. I mean, do you think those are the skills of comedy that kind of lend itself to drama?
Well, yeah, definitely. And that's it. I never thought about what you just said, but it's really an interesting way of thinking. And also, comedy starts and every time people ask me how do you write some comedy, or how do you choose the sketches, and I was like, well, tragedy is the origin of comedy. Tragedy plus time or distance. So every single comedy sketch or show or joke is born in tragedy. So I think that comedians, we're always connected to tragedy, but you have to hide your that pain. But we're full of pain. I feel that comedians, and because you can't laugh, you can cry openly. You have to be smiling all the time. You have a lot of pain inside of you, and I feel that comedians, we're like these sad clowns that you see in the circus, that inside you're kind of sad, but you cannot show to anyone. And it happens to me. I've been in funerals, in hospitals, with my family there, and people are like, they see you and they start laughing and they ask you for an autograph, and they don't see the human being behind the comedian. They just see the funny guy. So I think that's also another approach. There's a lot of pain behind a comedian.
Okay, well, thank you, Eugenio. I appreciate this. I'm a big admirer of yours, and I think Radical is a fantastic film, and we've been promoting it all day today. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you for
welcome.
your spread the word, please, Alan.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you.